So it'll always be there forever.
Or until we re-record it.
All
Here we
right,
go.
so
Three,
yeah.
two, one. Hello, YouTube. We are live. My name's Thom Britton. I do a show. I do 3 shows. I do FreakShow Tell. I do the Danger Circus, and I do the Seance. I live in Chicago, Illinois. With me today is my guest. I don't know. Is it my show or your show? Am I your guest? My partner?
That's a good question.
Richard Torres, actor, magician, raconteur, playboy, international
Oh,
man of mystery. Hey, why not? Now it's in Google. Now it's true.
there you go.
Now
Yeah.
they Google famous large genitalia Richard Torres. They can get that SEO for your dating profile. If you're joining us live, feel free to introduce yourself. Type like a first name, or if you're the amazing Mephisto, and that's important to what you do. We'll kind of scale this towards if we got a room full of Richard's friends or magicians, then we'll talk about filming your magic act. I don't know a lot about that part, but if you're a theater producer and you're doing Shakespeare if there's a next season, or you're a sideshow performer like me, put that in there. If you're burlesque performers, mimes, whatever, let us know what it is you do, and I will we'll attempt to or at least include you instead of just talking about him doing magic and me doing fire eating for the next however long.
Yeah.
Common question is, will this be recorded later? And I'll say this a few times. People will join us along the way. Yeah. I'll leave this up on YouTube for as long as they do. So we'll jump in with both feet. The whole idea here, what our goal is to just sort of have a free-form conversation about how we get the graphics and photography that we get for our website. Richard and I get the same question all the time, which is, where did you get these great photos? And so we're going to attempt to explain that to you as we go along. Let me drop that out of the way, and we'll jump right in. So let's, if you don't mind, let me go right to your, there we are. Okay. So let's start with I'm just going to basically interview you if you don't mind for a second.
No, go ahead.
Kind of pull it out that way.
Yeah.
So let's start with, why aren't you holding cards? Why don't you have a rabbit in a hat? This looks like it could be, sure, I believe it's a magician when you show me that because it says it right across your titty. But it also could be you're a wannabe model.
Sure.
That shot does. It looks like it could be a perfume, a cologne ad, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, or a
So at this, for example, my mom still sometimes says to me, "Why don't you get a photo with a top hat and a bunny?" And I feel it's part of your branding. I personally, I feel that image is kind of outdated. And this is just from experience. I've done events where it was booked through an agency, and the client wanted me to that typical image of a bunny with a top hat and like a tailcoat, but I arrived in like a modern blazer, right, with no top hat or white gloves or any of that stuff, and he was upset because he felt his it was at a club, so he felt that his guests, that's what they wanted. So I personally went around, because I was hired to walk around and do some tricks. I was so just annoyed the fact that I know the market in that field, and that's in that older crowd. They don't want that really. So
no one wants that anymore. That's the 1930s. It was hip
then. I
then.
asked them. Yeah. I asked them. I was like, so just straight up, if I came up to you, because you don't know me, and whenever I do events, no one knows who I am. I'm just a weirdo walking up to a group. Yeah. So I'm like, if I walked up to you in a top hat, tailcoat, white gloves, and a magic wand, what would you do? And every single one said either laugh at you, tell you to go away, or take a photo of you and then like blast you on the internet. Yeah. So it just, but there's a market for that if you're doing kid shows, I think.
Yeah, I guess if you're dressed like Merlin the Magnificent and you're at a cocktail party, you could get away with it, but you got to lean into that. That needs to be your whole thing.
Market. Yeah. And from, there are sometimes, people that want to see that for their kids, which is totally fine. I'm not saying.
Well, I've seen a lot of balloon twisters who will dress in a very kind of comical way, like a modern clown. So they've got purple pants, yellow suspenders, a bright red shirt. They don't do the nose, but they've, a crazy hat, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and so that's why I don't.
And it denotes like, hey, if you came to me, I'm not normal. Come ask me why. and so the kids would go over and ask for a balloon animal. So
Yeah.
now let me walk you through the process. Okay, so now you've got a target. So
Yeah.
you now know what you want. Is this what you pictured in your head? And if so, how did you get it out of your head and onto this website?
So it's through a long I'm just experimenting, but I know for a fact I've always wanted that um, look of you can't tell what he is. You have to ask me what I am, right? So it's kind of like it starts a conversation. Like, yeah, my site will say I'm a magician, so you know what I am right off the bat from the site information, right? Um, but then also it's just the clientele that I wanted um, from, and I do a ton of these like high end corporate events and like weddings. They a lot of the times they don't, from what I've seen and what I've worked with, they don't really want that typical looking magician. They want the magic, but not that look, because they want a modern feel, at least nowadays. From again, everything I'm saying is my opinion and from what I've seen, but that's why I don't show any photos of me, because I want the image to be me. I feel that the magic is secondary and the person is first. Whenever you're speaking with like anyone, especially if you're a performer of any kind, you're trying to book stuff. It's not really about. I mean, yeah, be good at what you do, but if you're a people person and you could build that rapport just by being you as a person, and they look at you, then what you do next, meaning what you're really doing, like if you're a performer of any kind, that's secondary. They're going to enjoy that more just because they like talking to you.
All right, so you've identified now that's your, for better or worse, that's your brand. So you're not the
Yeah.
top bad guy. So now let's go to, all right, so imagine the person tuning in is saying, okay, uh, they have as solid an idea of who they are as you do about who you are. So they're like, no, I am Merlin the Magnificent. I'm a kids entertainer. I dress like a crazy wizard from a Harry Potter, or not even Harry Potter, like some Beatrix Rabbit
Yeah.
thing from 1950s. So
And
how
your
does
site should show that too.
right? So how do
should
you tell the photographer for you to get that shot that we're looking at right now? How did you get from your brain to when you're talking to him? Did you say just shoot me like I'm a model on a DKNY ad?
So fun. So I don't have. I should have the the whatchamacallit, this video of. What photo are you looking at?
Oh, so on your website, if you look at the live stream, the very first page. So I'm at the very first. The one of you sitting on the table. Looks like you're
So
loosening your tie.
so that was in Vegas.
Oh, yeah, it looks like Vegas.
Yeah, there's a place somewhere in Vegas that we went to where you can pay a fee. Hold on, let me see this. Where you can pay a fee to this couple. I guess they're collectors of all these like unique things, and they built an entire collection of it to the point where they built kind of like an outside museum of just very interesting things. And apparently like Hollywood movies studios shoot there as well,
I think I've seen a horror movie set in there where there was a chase scene through there. It's like really crazy, kind of quasi sculpture.
Yeah, I just get the name right now. So this photo again goes back to my thinking of I'm wearing a blazer, right? People in offices, corporate events, they usually, they're wearing somewhat of a formal outfit, right?
Gotcha.
I also, the reason I'm also untying my tie is because I also didn't want the image that I'm too perfect.
Okay.
So that's on purpose of me making that tie.
And that's your idea. That's not the photographer on the day. That's you just doing stuff.
That's me just doing stuff. Because I also very subtly don't want to give the impression that I'm, when you see me perform, that I'm perfect, right? Because I have this idea that sometimes people, and I've seen this before, where people think that when you do a trick, you always know the outcome every single time. It doesn't matter what card you choose, or it doesn't matter if they shuffle the deck. It doesn't matter because the magician knows every time. It always works. Personally, it's not true. All performers know we always mess up, right? We just have ways to hide it, right? And I'm an honest performer. I tell them, if it didn't work, I'll just, I'll fix it in the moment. But sometimes there's things that you do that there's just no way to fix it.
That's unique to Magic. That is absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys are always dangling on a high wire.
Yeah. Yeah. And
a lot of times with every other performance art, they don't know I was going to do a double backflip. So when I do a single backflip, you know what I mean? But if I pick a card, the audience already gets ahead of like, well, that card needs to come back. Otherwise, why'd you have him pick a card? So you can't bail halfway through and turn it into a flourish thing and then go, that's what I meant to do because someone picked a card. But if I'm up on a high wire, they have no idea. There's no like expectation. I guess if I take a ball, they're like, he's going to do something with the ball. And if I don't, they're like, wow, that was weird. Why'd he get that ball? It just doesn't come up in other art forms. It's weird. Yeah. Who's taking the photo and what camera are you using? Let's get into the nitty gritty of that part too.
Camera. Yeah. So the way I got this photo too, so it was in the same location. We were on a specific time frame. We could only be there for a certain time, and we were also losing sun. When you're taking photos, you should also be aware of where the sun is. You don't want to take. I've seen some photos of magicians who go out in the street, or performers, just anyone, just go on the street and a photographer take a photo, but the sun is in their eyes. So they had that squinting look. It's just, it doesn't look good. It's not flattering. Ideally, you want to wait till kind of like what we call golden hour, where it's like the sun is just right below, like it's just about to go down. So that's kind of around this time that we took this photo. My friend Watkins, he's the one taking this photo. He's not a photographer. All my photos that I have on my website or on my social media are all done not by professional photographers.
So how are you able to get, is it just repetition? So how do you get results?
So results is coming from just being aware of, one, if you have a photographer around, doesn't matter if it's your friend or professional. If it is professional, tell them, you the performer, what what your best pose is or your best situation is. You let the photographer know, either by just telling them, you could stop midway and be like, hey, go around to the other side. It's a better angle from here, and you can see the people's faces. So that first one on top that you saw with the lady with her mouth open, or this one too, this first one here, that was at a wedding in Central Park, and it was a very tight space, but the tables were very long, right? What you really want is to get the people's reaction in the moment, in real time. You don't want them to fake it, but there are tips on that too, which I'll get into.
But who took the photo? And with
so this
camera?
One was who was
Because what I'm thinking is someone watching right now thinks, okay, I want a picture like that.
Yeah.
How? They're performing. Their hands are full of cards or doves or whatever.
Yeah. So you let them know, because one mistake is they think that you should have, of course, try to have you in somewhere in the frame, as you can see me in the back, right? So everyone knows who's looking at this photo, obviously seeing from other photos that that's you, right?
Yeah.
But to focus on them, and them reacting to magic, because that's what's gonna sell. You have that on your, and the feedback I've gotten from all my clients is, oh my God, all your people look like they're enjoying themselves. They're not, when people try to book you, in my opinion, they're not, and this is directly from a customer who literally said to me, the reason I'm booking you, and I've already spoken to 10 other performers, is because people look like they're enjoying themselves on your site.
You're selling the sizzle, not the steak, is the term we use in marketing. You're sharing, so what you're saying is, what you're paying me for is that experience. And so you're letting the photographer know, basically you're putting the photographer in on your marketing plan.
Yeah, yeah. You should have a vision of what you want, but let the photographer know, I want to get their reactions. And then let them know too, because sometimes my very first wedding, I had a photographer. I didn't have one. They had the wedding photographer there, but she liked that I was a magician, so she went around and tried to capture a few moments, and I'm paying attention to her to see if she's catching just the right moment. So don't speed up your tricks just to get it done because you're in the moment. Try to do. It's a little hard to do two things at once because you're trying to be engaging with the guests, but then also you have to be aware of where the camera is. Because if you're not because at this point, if you have a camera on you, you're not just performing for the group, you're performing for the camera. So you're performing for two things at the same time. So if you're going to show a card to, like, if you're revealing a card and you're showing it to the guest and they're reacting, try to, if the camera's like at your left, try to turn the card towards the camera while also the guests can see it as well. So
It's
they're
cheating.
reacting.
Cheating to camera is the term. Yeah.
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 You're cheating to the camera, so the camera catches it. You have the photo of you holding the card while they're reacting, so people who are looking at the photo will know, oh, he just did a card trick, and look how amazed they are.
I can tell you, I've had an experience. So I did a theater festival here in Chicago. Picture kind of like a Fringe Fest, in that it's a similar, for all intents and purposes, it's like a Fringe Festival. And often photographers will show up there to practice taking photos, and they'll just give them to performers. So two tips I can give you. One is that idea. Let the photographer in on your marketing. So last year I had a photographer show up, and I told him, really, there were more than one theater. And he said, do you mind if I take photos? Because he'd figured out through blunder that some of the visual artists don't like it when you take photos of their show. So he was starting to ask. He didn't know that before. He'd taken photos, and someone said, hey, don't take pictures of my show. So he came up and asked me. And I said, honestly, I don't mind if you want to practice taking pictures of a fire eater. That's cool, but I'll tell you, you're not helping me. I've got tons of photos. I have thousands of unused photos. Maybe these bands could really use some of your work. I go, and if you want to practice taking pictures of a fire eater, I really don't care. That's cool. But if you could, for me, flip it around, because the people who book me don't give a shit about a fire eater. Full theater, sold out. Look at that demographic.
Go out.
Well, not just that. 50 years old, rich, white, 62, black, rich, African, Latino, dripping in jewels.
Yeah.
Book me. Look at who I bring in. Full, standing room only. That's what I'm selling. Because the theaters, they don't know what the fuck I do. They have no idea. Here are the keys. Bye. Good luck with your, I don't know, magic juggling circus thing. I don't care what you do. I want the money. I want the audience. So I would book. I hate Larry the Cable Guy. I think he's garbage. But at my theater, I go, well, he fills the place. I'll book Taylor Swift. I think she's garbage too. The people, what am I judging for? Here, come watch your thing. So flip that camera around. But making those jokes and putting them in. And the other trick is this. Right there, $40. That goes on your keychain. Because a lot of times at colleges and stuff, they'll have the photographs. You can also do an SD card reader. They're not going to email them to you. They're going to forget. They're idiots. We all are. Right then. I get it. It's mine. This is a 2 terabyte drive also, because I've had people do HD video. They've got their laptop with them in their gig bag. This happened at Uptown Underground here in Chicago. And I had 2 students come there doing a journalism project. And they said, we've got the video. We can send it to you. I noticed one of them has a laptop. And I go, do you guys, if I give you a thumb drive, and I pick it up, I've got it in my pocket at all times. If I give you this thumb drive, can you put it on here? No one else in the cast had a thumb drive. So I got everyone's video. Now it's my job to put it in Dropbox. That's fine. But that saved everyone's life right then. Now I had the whole show that they had filmed in HD. And I just tell them, this has never got anything. Wipe whatever's on it. You can format it, whatever you got. And there's some rules to it where you want to make it work on Mac and PC. Google the way to format it so it works on Mac and PC. We'll cover that in some other tech podcast. And just have it on your person at all times. Let the person know whatever's on there, delete it.
Yeah.
Don't need it. I try and keep it blank. Fill this up with all my video and photos, please. So let your photographer know.
You'll never get, like you said, you'll never get the photos.
Ever, never. They get busy. You're not paying them. And so it's not in their mind. It's human nature. We all become idiots.
The contract. A lot of photographers, if they're hired by the client or the event planner or anything like that, I would say almost every time in their contract it states that they're not allowed to share the photos from the event to anyone else but the client. So that's why it's very hard to get a photo. I just did an event in where did I do it? I did an event in Florida. And they had a photographer there and a videographer. It was a very fancy event. And I didn't have someone to take photos for me, because usually, and also like there's a way to like, so I don't always offer the photos, which I don't know if you want to get into that, or that could be a different
What do you
episode. Mean? Like offer a way to get photos for your work. As part of your packages.
So now you're talking out of my depth. I literally rent a theater, sell tickets to the public. So everything that happens in that room, I am God.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
own that theater for the night.
So
So there's no one
so
walking into my space, whereas you're going into their wedding. So it's
yeah.
their world and
So
you're
you
an
have full
employee.
control because it's your show. You can do whatever you want. You can record it. You
Yeah.
don't have to ask for
Yeah.
permission, right? Um,
Well, and then there's
and
no photographers just popping in either. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
Like no one's taking. I mean, maybe someone with their cell phone sneaks a photo, but I put up a no photos sign, and most people don't. You're not getting great
yeah,
photos. So yeah, if you
yeah,
showed up, and I've had people call before and say, "I'm a student at the university. I saw your show. Could I come take pictures?" And I'll give them. That's the trade. Can I take pictures of the
yeah,
circus because there's a lot of fast movement? You have to do different
yeah.
shutter speeds, like taking pictures of sports, and
Hmm.
also fire. And there's clowns. There's tons of colors, and so since I'm doing kind of quasi circus theater, I've had them ask, but that's very different. So I have a chance to tell them,
Yeah,
you take whatever pictures you want, but do me a favor, get me 3 of the audience,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that'll be our trade because I only need those 3. Maybe I'll use a
I
really
would
cool
say
one you get.
also, I would say also like for me, I have a ton of photos now, but to get like marketing photos, like what you see on my website, that's planned. Like that's like I know
Wait,
exactly how my photos will want to look, so I'll bring a friend along,
well, back up
and
and tell me what you're talking about when you said. So, what were you talking about?
so
You kind of explain
the
like I'm 5
packages,
because
yeah.
I do not do those kinds of gigs. I don't go
Okay,
eat
yeah.
fire at someone's wedding.
So yeah,
It's
this
weird,
kind of this kind of like goes into I guess how do I get the photos like you see from the gigs.
right?
So I came across this idea. So I struggled a lot, and I'm sure like people in the comments and stuff, and general performers, it's very, very difficult for us to get photos from events because of that agreement that those photographers have and the
Okay,
videographers. You can't give it out. Even though some of them, you could try to be super nice to them, and they'll like, secretly send you the photos. I've had that
I've had
happen.
that happen too. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
which is fine. They're just be like, don't let the client know that I gave them to you, right? But most of the time you'll never get it. They might tell you, oh yeah, here's my card, which has happened to me recently. They're like, here's my card, dude, I got you. I'm like, awesome, this is gonna be great. He did videos, he did photos, and I till this, it's been 2 months now, I still haven't gotten it.
You
You'll
got to
never
chase
get it.
them down. Then you got to be a jerk,
Yeah.
and you feel like a jerk because they're doing it for. You didn't pay them.
No,
They're
no,
doing you a favor, and it's like I have to. How often can I bug you for a favor when
yeah,
I got nothing to give you in return? You don't need a fire eater, so I can't be like, hey, if you'll send me those photos we talked about, I'll come. I'll come. You're getting nothing from
yeah.
me. So yeah, I feel like
So
I'm only
never
entitled to so much.
never be, doesn't matter how friendly they become with you. They might give you their phone number, Instagram. Never assume just because they did that they're gonna give you the stuff.
Right.
Because the guy gave me his Instagram, liked me, followed me, went on my Facebook, liked my page there. I still haven't gotten the photos. So that was my struggle for years. And when I started doing this, the one comment I kept getting from people who were calling to book me was, "Do you have any photos? Do you have any videos?"
Yeah.
I didn't have anything, right? So, but I was doing a few corporate shows at the time. So, but I just didn't have any photos. So I'm like, listen, I do them. Just trust me, I do. I could even give you their phone number as a referral if you
Right.
want to speak to them. Um, I just don't have the proof because I can't get any photos or videos done, right? So I was struggling for so many years with that to the point where it's like I have to get this done somehow. So I got a camera. I studied how to use the camera. I knew nothing how to use that camera. The very first time I took it out, I had a friend of mine take photos for me. I didn't have enough money to pay for a photographer because photographers will charge you anywhere between $200 to $500,
Yeah.
maybe a little more, just to take photos of you at the event. And it also just depends on what lens they're bringing, what do they have to carry with them. So
Right.
that price is going to vary, and it gets expensive. You're going to be spending more for the event sometimes. So I'm like, I have to get this in my own hands. So yeah, like I said, I got the camera. I watched a million videos for hours on end on YouTube on how to properly use my camera because I didn't know how to use any of the buttons. I studied photography. I went to school kind of for video, so I kind of knew how to do like the video stuff, but I had knew nothing about like shutter speed, how to capture, how to eliminate the blur. If you look in a lot of the photos now, it's very clean, sharp photos. But my very first few gigs that I did, where I had a friend of mine take the photos, I didn't know that you should have to change the shutter speed. If you shoot on auto, the camera is gonna read the room automatically,
Right.
and so there's a setting on there to the camera will know if you're moving, so it'll change the shutter speed. But there's a whole other thing about lighting and just when the shutter speed changes that will still darken your photo, and it's a whole bunch. That's a whole other video.
Right.
But my first photos, they were all blurry. I was excited because if you look at the back of the lens of the camera, so I have, hold on. So on the back of the camera, you have this little screen, right?
Yeah.
It might look good on here, but never trust this lens here, this frame here, because the photo is very compacted. So it's gonna look good, of course. But now it's when you blow it up on a bigger screen, when people are really seeing the photos, when you really see that, oh, it's really not focused or anything like that. Okay. So I would say study photography. Just look up a bunch of videos, learn the basics of how to shoot events. There's like certain settings to be aware of, so you could get sharp photos. And just the higher the shutter speed, the less of a blur you'll get. But then to get the photos to the events, I had to now figure out, all right, so I understand how to do the cameras. How do I get to the event so I can get the photos done? So I didn't want to pay a photographer. So I'm like, my only option is to bring either a relative or a friend. I called up a friend. I said, hey, I'm doing an event. Can you take photos for me? They said, okay. And so all my photos are taken by a friend of mine. Right now, it's some magicians that I know. So like I have some of them are taken by a friend named Watkins, another like Dennis. They're all magicians. But I tell them, none of them know how to use this camera. They knew nothing. So what I do is I'll get to the event, I'll look at my surroundings, I see what I need, and then I'll change the settings myself, do a few test shots. The client sees that, so I'll get there early, right? And I'll do a few test shots to see what it looks like, test it out, make sure it's sharp. And then once I see that, I just give them, say, hey, this is to take photos.
So you're buying a camera, you're learning how to do the settings, then passing it off to them.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to walk people through real quick. So professional photography. So let's say you want to hire a professional. So that's not me and my buddy. That you're not going to get that with me and my buddy.
Yes, you want to hire a professional, look around. Do a quick Google search, of course.
No, hang on. We got different theories.
Okay.
Very different theories. So, okay. If a photographer shows up without a lighting package, it's a fake-ass photographer, send them home. You're not paying them. Lighting, not a camera. Yes. Lighting is what we're looking for.
Extremely important.
The art of photography is the art of bouncing light around. Now, these were taken in performance, but that photographer has to show up in light differently for the stage, right? So if you're going to get photographs, these are taken again in situ is the term we would use. So this is, I'm on stage. This isn't me posing. I mean, I am posing. I'm posing for a joke. I'm in the middle of a line, right? Same thing here. You can also, when you use video stills, so this is filmed in they actually film in 4K and 8K for news now, broadcast at 1080p. You can capture those and use those, and they'll light it for you. This is This is what I mean about they flip the camera around. So the photographer comes that day, and I go, look, it's not only standing room only. People are sitting on the fucking floor. So I don't need you taking a picture of me. I need you to turn that camera around. And then if you look, you can see if my cursor works, there's a guy with a camera right there with a big HD camera. And there's a director and a camera back here. There's the director, the AD, the lighting guy back here for the video. And so this is lit for both video and the stage. And then you can, now this is an idea of taking a photo and manipulating it. This is, that bulb is not lit at that point at all. I'm making a joke and I'm making a funny face. I'm just holding a light bulb, I'm holding a prop. I'm about to do a Tesla coil and it lights up. I literally went to Reddit and said, hey, can anybody make it look like this is lit? And the lens flare was added in post also. You see a lens flare up above my head here. All this was added by someone on Reddit for me for free. I asked them if they wouldn't mind doing it. So once you've got a good photo, if you say, hey, could you make the dove on fire or make the card look like it's glowing as well? Yeah. And this is more what it looks like in performance. I took this in Lightroom and made it black and white, but you get an idea. So when you're looking for a professional photographer, now we get into graphics. We'll get into this in a second. Okay, so when you're working with a professional photographer, you got to make sure you see their portfolio, and you've got to make sure that they understand exactly. And we do weird shit, man. If you explain, like, so he said, I'm a magician. Well, they have an image of that. Okay, gotcha. So make sure the rabbit's in focus, and the girl in the leotard and your sequined outfit are all in the frame. And you have to say, no, this is the kind of magician I am. And you have to use famous people. You have to say, I'm more like David Blaine. I'm more like Darren Brown. That's the only two I would know. There may be 100 people like you. I don't know them. I know David Copperfield.
It's a good reference to kind of what you want to look like, so they get an idea.
Yeah, take them a photo and go, here's a picture of Doug Henning from 1978, and I want to do that, but with my haircut, not the mullet.
Yeah.
Make sure they understand what it is you want. And then, like you said, it's going to cost between $200 and $500 to get photography for the day. Yeah. I argue that it's easier to do it in their studio. Get on a piece of Seamless, the lighting, it'll be cheaper. They know exactly what the environment's like. And you had talked about staging them. So let's say we've done that. Let's say I've got a photographer. They're charging me $200 for 4 hours. I'm going to go into their studio with Seamless. How are you faking shots when people go, how do you get that shot?
Of when you're at a studio?
Yeah, you want to do a reaction. You talked about faking it with audiences. How do you get them to how do you get the shot you want? I want the face. How do you get that?
So I haven't done, meaning if I go to an actual studio and I may bring some friends along and do some tricks for them, I know that is a kind of a way to get some shots if you're struggling right now, you have no gigs or anything like that, or you're just starting out. It is a good way to get something, at least you have something to show. But at the events, one way to fake it is so say you're performing, you're doing whatever you're doing. A lot of the times, you're having conversations with the groups. Sometimes someone in the group is going to cut you off. They might say a joke. It's going to get everyone's attention. Everyone just dies laughing. You might even laugh too. If I know the camera's on me, I'm going to laugh with them. And then you tell the camera person too, if at any point that I'm with the group and they start laughing, take a photo, because it's going to give the perception that you just did something and they're kind of like reacting to it. These were all taken in real time. This one here with John Legend, that one was one of those type of things where I wasn't doing anything. I was just talking to him. But it's the fact that
it looks like you're very much doing a mind reading thing. Yeah, the body language looks like you're in the middle of something mind blowing for him.
Yeah. I haven't done it yet. I was just getting him ready for the mind reading thing. So,
and is this his wife over here? Because she's also famous for something, and I can't figure out what.
Chrissy Teigen, yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Was she a porn star? What does she do? I have no idea what she does.
No, I think she was a model.
Okay.
As well, like some model, I think it was. Could be wrong. I'm never aware when there's celebrities around when I'm performing. So I had a very funny moment when I was at that event. They just showed up. It wasn't their event. They were just friends with the guests. And I saw John Legend's the back of his head from a distance. And I was like, by the way, my cousin, who is not a photographer, took this photo as well.
So it sounds like it's a matter of just kind of numbers. It's a matter of just every time you go to an event, you're planning on having photography done.
Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Because I try to take advantage to get as much. It's a way to not only keep your photos up to date, but also just keeping it fresh. They don't always see the same photos all the time. And also if you're on social media, it's a good way to just constantly have content to post. Hey, this is an event I did. This is an event, another event I did. But yeah, like that photo that wasn't planned. Oh, and like you said, it's a numbers game. The more photo you can get from the event, the more options you have to see which one looked the best. A tip I want to say too is when you're performing with a group, a lot of the times what happens is the group tends to surround you, especially if you have a large number. So it's hard to get the photo of you with the people if you're completely surrounded. It's all their backs against the camera. So I sometimes have a lot of photos like that, which they just don't look good. You don't want to see people's backs. You want to see their faces. So I will literally coach them. I will literally say, hey, listen, there's a camera around. I know you're enjoying this, but how about we do like a half circle? And everyone will listen. You just tell them, hey, go to half circle. I'm going to stand here. And you would tell the camera, hey, just stand right here. You could go crazy, right? And then just continue from there. So now you position them to everyone be in frame for the photo. And now you have a photo of that with you performing for everyone.
All right, you ready to cover graphics?
On that page, too, with the I think it's like a half circle group with lady holding sponge balls. That's literally what I told them because they were circling me around. I just said, hey, guys, open up the circle. It's the camera guy. Yeah.
That's nice, being in the moment. So I want to cover graphics on this as well. So this is a poster design I did for postcards originally, but I do these as art pieces as well. So the watermark that's right here is not in the original design. I dropped that there so when people pull it out and share it, it at least takes some of my signature with me. Yeah. And you'll see a lot of what I'm playing with is text overlay. This was another. So these are both art posters. So what I did with these, this is also what you can do with your photography. So my friend Serena took this photo in performance, I think. Yeah, I think it was a performance shot. And then I added text to it, printed it at 11 by 17, or I think 18 by 24, and then I would sell them at shows or give them away to VIPs. Same thing with this one, and same thing with the first one. This is a business card that's dropped on here, but the idea is the same. So, and then we get into photography. So let's talk about.
Can I ask a question on?
Please, yeah. Go ahead.
So the title of the show. Would you ever like that this one here, your logo there? Would you ever would you consider that almost like a watermark type of thing, so people can't like take it either?
Oh no, they're not gonna be able to really take it because there's not a lot they can do with it. It's clearly a picture of me. It's just as they pass it around the web, you never know when crap's gonna go viral for no good reason. Yeah. So if this gets passed around, we'll be able to Google it, but I don't really worry as much. Look, the internet's it's a different world. The watermarking thing, the credit thing, you can give me all the credit you want on your Twitter account. Yeah. They're not following me.
I will say this. The reason I asked that is because I've been on some websites from other just regular performers of any kind, and they'll have posters like this or like photos from their events or shows that they've done, but they want to watermark it. So
I mean, sure, 1873, that's great. I wish you luck with that brand new railroad you're putting in, but it's just not the world we live in now.
What they've done though, which in my opinion just doesn't look good, is they'll watermark the entire image, like their logo.
Yeah, it's garbage. That's stupid. Just take it offline. Just mail your clients and snail mail and send them telegrams. You're an idiot. Don't do it. It's dumb.
You're ruining it.
You're ruining your art. And even this is ugly. This is not where it should go. So there's two ways you can do it. One, design it. Only put up art that has your name in it. Like this poster behind me has got the title of the show. This piece of art did not. It's not an advertisement. It's a piece of art, and they are different. So I made this as an event. Sorry, my dog is sleeping. If you hear him, that's him growling in the background. He's having a dream.
Is he having a dream?
Yeah, he's doing the. Okay, so this is ugly. So I snuck in as much as I can. There's a couple ways I've seen it done well. One, just always work the title of your show into the piece if you're really worried about that, but don't. It's pointless to worry about this stuff now. It's silly. The other is William had someone on the podcast where he was talking about he had a foam core thing printed with like hashtag the name of his company. He would hold it up. And so that was a real good way. Which, hang on one second. Speaking of which, there we go. So it's not an ad, but I wanted to talk about Well Attended real quick. Seems like the perfect time to do it since it came up organically. So they're not paying us to do it. This isn't like this podcast is sponsored by Squarespace. William's a friend of ours, and he helped promote the show. So if you want to sell tickets, do that. Go to wellattended.com.
It's a great service. I've used it too.
Yeah, we've also had a problem lately. There's been a couple services, and for litigation reasons, I don't want to mention them, but their name rhymes with wound paper tickets. And they didn't pay their friggin' artists. They didn't pay them. They screwed them over.
Really?
A loft here in Chicago, a loft Circus, is having serious financial troubles like a lot of training schools and circuses are. Thousands of dollars of the allegations that this other company owed them. They're not going to give it to you. They don't care about you. William's a performer. He's a magician. He's a mind reader. It's two people. It's William and his partner. They write the code. And at least that doesn't happen. They're all the same price. You might as well check them out. If you go there, you sign up, he'll contact you, walk you through it himself. Right now, we all have tons of time. just like we're doing over Skype, walk you through it. And it's just as useful as all the other software. But we wanted to kind of give him a little free commercial here because he's the reason a lot of people have heard about this. He's been putting it on the mailing list. He's been putting it on websites. And I forgot until now. I'm sorry, William. But I like the merch thing he's got. He's got a merch. So a few places do this. Since it's not an ad, I'll mention some other services also do this. But he was the first one I saw where when you buy a ticket, you can say, hey, would you like to buy a T-shirt? Would you like to buy my DVD? Would you like to buy my book on how to do magic for kids for another $10? And then when they check in, it's waiting for them. Thanks for coming to the show. Here's the thing you purchased. Have a seat. I used that and I paid the rent on my theater selling $5 envelopes because the theater was like $150 and I sold $148 worth of envelopes to people or whatever before I even got there. I was like, wow, I've made extra money before I even got to the door. So yeah, if you have a chance, definitely worth your time. That's
really good. I like that.
Yeah, it's kind of weird to do an ad that's not an ad, but it's like I'm gonna recommend a service for my friend here. But that's we owe him a favor. He helped promote this thing for us. Okay, so getting this graphic. So watermarks are a terrible idea, and you could just take this out if you wanted to. And it'd take me 8 seconds to get rid of that FreakShow Tell and just clone it in Photoshop and do,
And even if you wanted to watermark, I've heard this. I've been to like a bunch of like photography conventions because now I just do it a lot of like for like entertainers. One tip I've heard is if you really just feel uncomfortable not watermarking it, watermark it, fine, but put it like in a corner. Or one tip I heard was the opacity of it. Lower it so it's extreme.
Just don't put it online, dude. Just print it out at Walgreens and carry it around in your wallet, Grandpa. Just don't participate. You don't get to write the rules for the internet. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Just don't put it online. Same rule with your nudes. Use a Polaroid. Don't use a camera phone. You want to take pictures of your junk? Use a Polaroid. Now, one copy exists. Burn that copy and you can run for Senate. If you take pictures of your stuff with your iCloud account, we're going to see it. Just don't do that. Have someone sketch it for you like you're in Titanic. Draw me like one of your French girls. If you're going to put it online, so this is watermarked arguably because the design of the show it's on this side, is right. You know what I mean? Like it's right there. So that would be one way to do it. But yeah, just don't put it online if you don't want it stolen, don't put it online. It's going to get reused and repurposed and there's nothing you can do about it. Really quick, Malachi, the printed materials thing in the playlist for putting butts in seats explains the selling envelopes. The short version is I've got a VIP envelope that's got in it some postcards, stickers, trading cards, printed bookmarks, printed materials. It's a bunch of cool stuff that I sell for $5, or you get it free with a VIP ticket. So that's how I'm motivating VIP tickets for my show, and then I sell it as merch. So you could argue the same thing with this. This is or it's a variation of a poster design. All these are. I redesigned them. This is a terrible poster. There's no place to put the time, the date, the location. It's an art piece. But if you shifted some stuff around, it could become a poster. That's what happened. This was a poster. Then I shifted stuff around and made it not look like a poster, but more look like a souvenir. And I would sell this for a couple of bucks. Same thing here. Now, in my case, what I did was I packaged 4 of them together. Because instead, I don't want to sell you stuff for 50 cents. I don't want to deal with quarters. But it costs me a few pennies to print it. I'm going to sell it to you for $1. No, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll put 4 or 5 together and sell it for $5. That way you go, that's a good value. I'll get 4 things for $5 that are posters. That's cool. And I put 80 cents in that. You know what I mean?
Are they large posters?
They vary. I use like 11 by 17 or 13 by, 13 by 19 or whatever that size is. So yeah, they're 11 by 17 or bigger, which is what I print for flyer posters as well. I just print some more of them and then sell them in my back. So that's the printed materials podcast I did with William, which if you go to wellattended.com/blog, it's right on episode 70, but it's like 3.5 hours of how to find the art, how to make the art, what printer to use. There's a free thing you can get a download of me through Excel. There's a whole thing to it. If you can't find it, message me on Facebook and I'll send you the actual link. And then this figure in the middle came from Fiverr. And let me real quickly, I don't want to get too into the weeds on this either because I've got it on other shows, but the quick version. You want a .psd file, it's a Photoshop file, or a .ai file, that's an Illustrator file. Even if you can't use it, you need to get a copy of that. Because if 5 years from now you come to me, who does know what those files do, or God forbid a professional designer who's really good at it, You can't hand me a JPEG, bro. I'm not going to cut that figure. It's going to take hours, and you're going to have to pay for those hours. But if you've got it in, and you tell the artist who's drawing this for you, I want layers. The figure is one layer, the background's another layer. That way I can change that background that I have. You'll see this on the very beginning of this. You saw it, this exact same figure being reused right there. And I was able to reuse it because I, had it separate from the background. Yeah, William Stoneman's episode 72 on the blog. About the envelopes and printed materials and stuff. And we really, we drill down. It's an hour of each one. We really, it's crazy how detailed we got, because I wanted you to be able to start from, I've never designed anything in my damn life and I'm scared to death. Part of it's like a cheerleading thing to get you confident. You're talking to a designer. Now I have a design from some dude on Fiverr, but it's just a picture of me drawn like a superhero. Now what? I don't know how to make a bookmark, where to order it, how to get it, and how to sell it. So it's a whole thing. So you need to have PSD, Photoshop, or Illustrator in layers, and the artist will know what that means. It just means, for a lot of times for file size, they make it all one layer to send it to you because it's much smaller. And on Fiverr, sometimes the person who drew this lives in Pakistan. And it took him about 3.5 hours to upload a couple of 50 megabytes of a file, because that's a different country. Internet's really, really, really slow and really, really, really expensive. And so he wants to compress it. And I said, I said, look, I'll pay extra, but I want layers. And he said, that's no problem. Just understand it might take 6 or 7 or 8 hours between when I say I'm done and when you get your stuff. I said, take a week. It's fine. I don't mind. I won't be a bitching client. Give me this. And so it was fine. I woke up he's working, 3 a.m. my time is noon his time or whatever. So when I woke up at 10 a.m., I had my email. No big deal. And so I then was able to take this to a designer and say, hey, I've got this figure drawn. And the person who drew it included a background for me that they drew, which is part of the $60 or whatever I paid the guy to do this on his page. The way I found him was, I knew what I wanted. It starts with you knowing what you want. I want to make a superhero-ish kind of thing. I found this font, and the term, that's a thing I made up. The best science is mad science. It's a great way to sell my show. Found this font and thought this would look cool with this background, blah, blah, blah. Now I need this figure. I gave him a photo. This is Jack Kirby, is who I'm basically aping here. And another artist who drew the Fantastic Four, whose name I'm not much of a comic book guy, in the 90s. I say kind of a mix of this old, Jack Kirby's the original dude. That's the guy who invented Spider-Man with Stan Lee. He's old school, created the Silver Age of comics. Old school Batman, new school Fantastic Four guy. And then on the artist's page, he has his portfolio. And I said, mix that with kind of what you got in example number 3 of your work and kind of a little bit of example number 9 of your work. Remix all that for me, and here is the pose I want. And I literally sent him a photo of me going, and then on the photograph, made notes like Circus, said my hand will be on fire, and I'm holding a beaker, and the beaker has some magic juju, like Bruce Banner, the Hulk kind of stuff coming out of it. He sent this back. He forgot to put the little streak in my hair that I have, so I mentioned if he could do that. The original color for the stuff in the bottle, but I paid for 3 revisions on Fiverr also. Only used 1. I said, if you'll change the color of that stuff, it was kind of a bluish, make it kind of a green, kind of an unnatural looking green, and then add a streak to my hair, everything else looks perfect. And I had it 2 days later. Then that figure went onto this background. I found the font and laid it out. A designer will do that for you, but that's how you find these higher quality figures and pieces. This, I took another photograph. My friend took it with her iPhone, and then the artist on Fiverr, same guy actually, that artist on Fiverr, I said, now what I want is, and I always forget the name of this movie. It's done like this, like the black and white with spots of color, and it's a graphic novel that they filmed. Zack Snyder did it. Keanu Reeves is in the damn. Sin City. Christine's yelling from the other room. Thank you. Sin City. And I sent him, in case he hadn't seen Sin City, I don't know how popular it was in Pakistan. So I sent him stills of it. And then he took that photo, and my face is actually the photo manipulated, and then he drew on top of the photograph the rest of it. But I was wearing a lab coat. I'm wearing a shirt. I'm wearing khaki slacks, because I wanted neutral colors for him to work with. I sent it to him in full color. I'm holding an actual light bulb, but my hand's just doing this. And I said, you know, the hand on fire. This was the first one. Then the other one was later. I said, could you do it again, but with the beaker in the hand? But I came up with the idea, and this was the background he sent me. But that figure of me can be lifted off of that background because I have it in layers. That's what you need to remember to ask for. And it might cost a little extra. Or like I said, he was more worried about it triples or quadruples the size of the file. And in his country where he's at, internet's just so slow. But if you're talking to someone who's from France or from Indiana, you know, and they live in the middle of Indianapolis, they're like, no, I can upload a 100 gig file in like 10 minutes. Like, it's nothing to send you a whole Dropbox link, no big deal. Just make sure that when you're asking for this stuff, as I was, you're willing to wait the extra time or pay the extra money. And then turning it into printed materials, God knows William and I did 200 hours of podcasting for you to, which, speaking of William, WillAttended.com, best way to sell tickets. Thanks for, William promoted the show for us. So if you guys haven't, did you miss your commercial, William? We did a commercial for you.
Did he just get in?
I know. I just saw him talking just now, but I don't know. He's welcome to the chat. Common question, is this going to be saved? Yeah, it'll be saved. We're going to leave the whole rambling mess up on YouTube. You can watch us chit-chat for the hour we've been doing it.
Can I make a comment? The photos of you breathing fire, that you've also put stuff on, that was taken with a professional camera, right?
Very professional camera, and my friend Serena Valenti. So this was a friend I was using, but the way I got these was, she was a wannabe wedding photographer. So she had started doing it. She was studying photography. She had started barely gigging out as a wedding photographer. And this is a thing where performers like you and I, burlesque performers, hypnotists, we offer or circus performers, she was also a friend of mine, so that helps. But it gave her a chance to say, you know, you're not going to get a lot of chances to photograph a photographer fire eater on stage. There's not a ton of us. And if we are, we're in like a parking lot goofing off. Like, there's not a bit fire eaters with a show and a scripted show. So she could come watch it a few times and knew when the money shot was happening. So she knew exactly when that moment was coming up. Yeah. Because she had seen it before.
When some photographers I did a charity performance years ago, and they had like two photographers there, and I asked him, like, hey, I hear you're taking photos of all the performers on stage. And he was like, oh yeah. I was like, in my head, I was like, awesome. I'm like, hey, can you take photos of my act? Right? And he goes, yeah, sure. I get the photos back. Mind you, I'm doing my bit, and I'm also trying to see where he is, so I know where to go. Right. And I didn't find him. I saw him. He was still in the same spot, in the same seat in the front row, taking photos. And I'm like, this is not going to come out good. I got the photos back, and he told me all he did. This is like, in my opinion, a kind of lazy photographer, because all he did was set his camera to automatically take photos throughout my entire my show, frame per frame.
Right.
So he had like thousands upon thousands of my photo, and then he would just send me the best ones and just send me those. But I'm like, you know, I need some creativity in the shots, not just me standing in one spot, you know.
What was the advantage of her being able to see me more than once? And so if you're doing a magic trick and you're working with a friend, make sure they know, like if you're doing the spider on the back of the hand thing, that's going to be a huge money shot.
Oh, yeah.
So make sure when you see me take out the cards and start talking about webs or whatever the line is, make sure you also have a script. If you're constantly riffing and improvising, okay, amateur, but also you're not helping me, man. I'm trying to get the money shot and you're moving the money shot. No. Write your stuff down, plot it out at least, or give me a nudge and a wink. So say you are going to improvise the whole show. Don't improvise this one line before they turn their hand over. Give me a 2-second warning to be ready.
I would also, I have this thing I've come up with. It's almost like signals that I send to my. So like, for example, if I'm taking photos for, say, Maliki, which I've done, before the show, I tell them, it's like, look, if, because I know what happens constantly is the group that forms around you, and I can't get a shot of you good from that position or the group at all. So instead of interrupting right in the middle of the trick, the signals that I give is I'll go up to them and I'll like grab their shoulder and I'll pinch it, right? And for them, it's a sign that says, oh, bad angle, let's open up a bit. So I have those type of signals that whenever I'm taking photos, or like I'll tell them if they're doing it for me, I'm like, hey, if it's too crowded, just touch me on the shoulder. That's my signal to know, oh, hey guys, you know what? Like, and I'll just flow right into it. If in the middle of the trick, I'm like, oh, hey guys, here real quick, here, just stand back. It's gonna be great. But what I'm doing is I'm really forming that space again for to get that shot.
You're directing your own shoot. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I direct my shoots, because I think that was a question that we had before we started doing this, like, you know, how to, or like I think the last thing I was in for you when you were doing something with websites is how do I direct the photos during the events, or like even go out and take photos, is I have signals that I'll tap them on the shoulder, or they'll tap me in the shoulder. That's my sign that says, hey, you know, too tight, you know, open up.
That sounds great. So yeah, if you're in the situation, there's already a photographer and you're an employee of the wedding or whatever, that's how you get shots out of it. I'm going the other way, where I'm bringing in photographers, and I'm either bringing them in because, hey, do you want to photograph a variety vaudeville show? Do you want to practice? Or if I've got friends, in her case, she was becoming a professional photographer. She needed just reps in the gym, practicing with her equipment and her gear, and I do multiple shows per night or per week, and the theater doesn't change. So I set up my set. Maybe I even tear down and set up there's more than one show, but in this case there wasn't. My set stayed there all during the week. I came in on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, then I went home. It sat there in the dust for 3 days, right? So that gave her multiple shots, because just like us, they're artists. So these photographers are like, yeah, I missed it last time. I know what I did wrong. Give me another chance. And so she kept shooting, and eventually she got the shot she was happy with. I didn't see the failures. She sent me the good one. She's like, I like this one. And it's a trait. So I try and get her credit and stuff, but she's a friend of mine. So the nice thing is I can just take her out to dinner. But, you know, I try and make sure when the newspapers print the photo, especially online, if they don't credit her, they'll say courtesy of Thom Britton. Because they get off my website. I'll say, thank you for writing the article. I usually write, that's another thing with manipulating the press. You know, once you send always thank the person who wrote an article for you, because it gets a relationship going. Yeah. But I also say, if you don't mind, could you change the credit from courtesy of Thom Britton to photo by Serena Valente, who's the photographer? And I'll make a joke. I'll say, because I really didn't pay her very much, I just took her out to dinner. Could you give her credit? And so it's kind of a cool thing for her to see her name in the Chicago Reader, in the New York Times. We got the Time Out New York, you know, to these big publications, and think, oh, it's kind of cool that, you know, I did a favor for a friend for free. And you're getting some kind of ego stroke out of it, because I didn't pay her big money. Now, if you pay a photographer, you've bought the rights to use that in advertising. Don't worry about it. But if you've got a deal on that photographer, if they gave you a bro hookup, they don't really know you, and said, well, you're a magician. I like magicians. I want to come shoot you. I'll do it for half what I usually do. Well, you kind of owe them a favor, man. You kind of owe them a little something. You can pay it back by making sure they get credit when credit's due. And I don't need the credit. I'm not going to be taking photographs ever. It doesn't do me any good to be underneath my own photo on an article about me.
That's a good idea, though. That's something that just didn't cross my mind, is to reach out to student photographers who are looking to build a portfolio.
And not just student photographers, though. Remember, professional photographers. But if I shoot weddings, I have not had a chance to shoot a show like yours, where there are definite money shots and definite, like, I missed it, I got it, is a real manageable thing. So it might be a fun challenge for even a seasoned professional. Like, but can you catch it right as the flash paper goes off? And if you're doing a stage show, especially in the same spot, where I'm like, no, I didn't, you son of a bitch. I missed it last time, but I got you this time, because now I know that you raise your arm, and that's the cue. So they learn your show.
Yeah, and if you're going to use flash paper in close-up settings, like what I do, I tell them, I was like, look, sometimes right before I do a trick, I'm going to tell them, it's like, hey, I'm going to use flash paper. Let me get the camera real quick. And then I set up the settings myself, but they wouldn't know.
That's what William's saying he does. He says he does the same basic thing that you do. He sets the camera, gives it to his friends, and says, just keep pushing the button. And that's the thing you can do at first, is that realize that digital is much cheaper.
Of course.
Buy the 10 gigabyte card, slap it in there, hand it to your dumb friend, but by the end of the night, maybe they figured it out. They go, oh, I'm starting to get it.
What happens
you need one per gig.
Yeah.
Go through 2,000 photographs and throw them all in the trash.
I have a friend named Matt Masira. So I started a magic web series on my YouTube channel. It's on pause for now.
Wait, hang on. Give the link. Here's your chance to. There you go.
So my YouTube channel is it's Drew Torres, DREW. I'll type it in. DREW. Oh, what? I can't. Oh, I can't. Oh, here. So it says I can't.
You can't put a link in? Yeah, sorry. That's settings. That's not me. That's just YouTube.
Yeah.
So
that's the end. So you put youtube.com/that in the comments. Drew Torres, DREWTOREZ. I'm meaning to change that. Hold on. My laptop is dying. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna run get the charger real quick. Sorry if I
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, you can't put links in this thing. I also had to ban someone. They're trying to do the goatsy thing. They're trying to put the old goatsy meme into YouTube. I'm like, still, really, guys? We're still bombing YouTube with penises. Is it Second Life again? Yeah, the main thing working with a photographer is save up money, get a really good one, get an expensive one, and then spend some money because I'll tell you, I don't know if you've noticed, it's a much younger me there in that photograph. I've been rocking that photograph for years now, and so it's these are from 2007, 2008. Once you've got a good photo, you can really use it. I mean, until my hair really goes gray. Or look at the side of my head here. That ain't the color of my hair, man. It's a whole different thing going on now with the salt and or pepper. But you can still, and in fact, I've lost weight, so I'm in better shape. But you can really, really, really get a lot out of photographs if you've spent the money on them. All right, so you were saying so we're talking about having your friend point and shoot, because that's something I think everyone watching can do. Find a camera, figure out how to use it, your new iPhone, direct the shot, hand it to your half-stoned friend, not your completely stoned friend, and let them puzzle it out. You got a friend who's smart but clueless about photography. You go, well, you'll figure it out, dude. Just shoot 1,000 photos. I have a 128 gigabyte phone, and I have no music on it right now. I've cleared all my photos off. I've got 25 gigs for you to just go nuts with.
You're bound to get something good from all those photos. Like I said, the very first few times I did this years ago, because I didn't know, all the photos were blurry. Literally, I would say 95% of all the photos from that gig, that even though looked good behind this thing, when I opened it up on my computer, they were terrible. I would say almost all of them were unusable. But I was able to find the ones that look okay, and I was using those for a while. And still I improved from then. But basically, yeah. So my friend Matt Masera, he started getting into camera stuff because I kind of I was shooting this web series, and now he kind of also wants to be part of because I have a roster of friends, or mainly magicians usually, that I use for all my events, and I rotate them. So I'll just shoot out a message to a few of them, be like, hey, who's available on this? They have an event. They agreed to have a photographer there. I need someone who wants to come and take that, and then they'll just, whoever's available, they'll come and help out. But yeah, I mean, shooting a bunch of photos at once. My friend Benjamin, I did an event once with him, and he came around, and that's literally all he did. He just takes the camera and just shoot like crazy. It gets all crazy angles.
And you can do that now. You couldn't do that in the 1960s. No. Film costs money, but that card, carry 5 or 6 of those damn things with you. They go on special every Prime Day and every Black Friday. There are SDXC cards or flash memory cards. Load up. I mean, I have a 2 terabyte thumb drive, for God's sakes. So someone could be taking photos, bring it to me. I could put it in my laptop, drag them off onto my thumb drive. Here it goes blank to you, back, go reload it. Go take more photos. And it's a nice thing to do. All right, let's wrap up, though, because we're going to go for 2 hours, and no one's ever going to see this part.
Oh, good.
No one's ever going to watch this far into the video.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so what are your takeaways? Bullet point, what if the person sitting home right now, they have shitty photographs on their website and they want what you've got?
Grab a friend, Don't wait. You're not gonna get photos from somebody. You just take the action yourself and do it. There's time doesn't wait, right? If you need the material, you need the marketing material, go do it yourself. Even if you go out into the street in front of a tree and you gotta take a photo that way, that's fine too. Grab a friend, go out, learn. I spend hours learning how to use the camera. Get yourself a good camera. iPhone's okay, but one of these is best.
And those run anywhere from $299 to $700. Actually, you can spend $1 million once you start buying lenses. But I would say $300-400.
A lot of them are come with bundles. They just like maybe like I think right now this is maybe like 5 something right now. At the time it was like 8 something.
Right.
So yeah, just grab a friend, go out and do it. If you want to get a professional photographer, you could. It's gonna cost you some money. I didn't have the money at the time, so I just grabbed friends, and ever since then it's worked great because now you're working with a friend. So it's more fun.
Sure, yeah. And you trade it off where, well, like my photographer takes 10 photos, they're all amazing. My friend takes 10,000 photos, 2 are good. So it becomes a numbers game. That's how you trade it off. Okay, and so for graphics, you're going to go to Fiverr or something like that. You're going to be very specific about what you want. You're going to sketch it out. You're directing this shoot. You're hiring someone to draw stuff for you. Give them a lot of data. Get layers, even though you don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Make sure you save a backup copy of layers forever. Put it on a thumb drive. Put that thumb drive in a safe. Put that safe in a box. Put that box at the bottom of the ocean. No one can ever get to it. Launch this thing to the moon for safekeeping. Make sure you have more than one backup somewhere, so if your laptop gets dropped in the toilet one day, you're not just screwed on this thing you paid someone to do and you loved it and now you can't reuse it. Yeah. And then now you can use it to create printed materials, create your website, etc. But it's a matter of being very specific with someone. You can find folks locally who do it, but Fiverr's a great resource for finding folks to draw you things for posters.
William mentioned Backblaze. I might message you on Facebook about that because I have that saved and I really it's very interesting to me. I don't know how it works. I'm going to be hitting you up.
Yeah. Or Google Drive if you just need to save a few things. Dropbox has free stuff. Backblaze is great. But putting on a thumb drive, keeping one at work and one at home. But these are important documents like your children's first steps are on there. Your ID, if your house burns down, you at least could get a copy of your passport off the digital. And your promotional materials are on one thumb drive, and then maybe some insurance receipts, and make sure that's in different places. Like imagine, okay, if there's an earthquake, well, it's in Dropbox. Fire at my house, it's at the office. Fire at the office, it's at my house. Make sure you have multiples on that for any kind of backup situation. Well attended for wellattended.com for selling tickets. This is not an ad. This is just a friend of ours, William, helped us promote the show, so we're returning the favor by doing a commercial for him. But no money has changed hands. In fact, we pay him. We use Well Attended. We're paying for the guy we advertise.
Yeah.
It's going the wrong way. We're losing money on this show. Richard, we've done it backwards. I'm buying Diet Coke. They should be paying me to drink Diet Coke. The Kardashians are geniuses. You've got to use a ticketing software. You have to sell tickets. You can't just do cash. You're not a bunch of fly-by-night traveling con men carnies like me. People want to buy tickets in advance. It's a good way to sell out software. We're seeing now that a lot of these companies are shifty and will steal your money. They all cost about the same, plus minus $1. You might as well use Well Attended. It's William and his partner. It's 2 guys. They have no history of theft. They have no history that we know of. Hey, it's a brave new world. But no, you need that. You need reliable software that you can use. You can sell stuff in advance, and it works right there at the door. We give you a new business model, William. Think about robbing your customers. You'll make so much more money, apparently. But it made me real mad when some of these other companies did that kind of stuff. And I thought, well, I'm glad I go with a company that I can trust, that I can use. And right now, everyone has tons of time. So it's the time to do it. Go ahead and go to wellattended.com. William himself will Skype you. Sorry, I keep cutting off. Sorry. But let me finish the new. So he'll Skype you, and now you can get it all set up. You can start playing with this software, start creating. You'll see you have like a page. It looks like you can make it match your web page. So don't feel like you went to a whole different website. It looks like you're the same colors, etc. Get all that set up. You can drop in video. That was huge for me. Video or photos. Sell your tickets. And then in 3, 4, 5, 6 months, 8 years, 20 years, 2 decades, when the world reopens, you're not only ready to sell tickets, but you're even better than you were before quarantine. So, sorry, what were you trying to say there, Richard?
I was going to say, and also a lot of that I've learned in the past was from just the podcast that Well Attended has as well, from interviews on there.
Free. That's free.
Yeah, and it's completely free. Yeah.
If you want to get on my mailing list, I'll give you a copy of my cookbook. If you go to FreakShowTell.com, you'll see a pop-up. You can't try and avoid getting on my mailing list. I'll push it right in your face. I'm not subtle. But here's the deal. So you're a performer. You're not going to come see a show. I get that. That's cool. You're busy Friday, Saturday also. That's fine. Take it. It's a free copy. You can unsubscribe. I don't care. So subscribe to my mailing list. You'll then immediately, MailChimp handles it too. So it immediately goes PDF of my cookbook. It's kind of cool. Then you can unsubscribe, man. I'm not mad at you. Take the free cookbook. You watched all the way to the end of this thing. There you go. That's my gift to you. And then if you want to know if I'm coming to your town, stay on the mailing list. And I don't blog on it. I tell you, hey, I've got tour dates coming up. I'm going to be in this part and this part and that part, and then I'm done talking. This is where I babble with my friend Richard. Thank you for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
I got one more thing. Can I make one more thing?
Please, we got time. It's free.
I started a podcast myself. It's called Not Just Magic. You can find it everywhere right now. It's still pending for Apple Podcasts, but you can find it right now on Spotify and all those other places.
Say the name again. Not Just Magic.
Yeah, Not Just Magic.
Gotcha.
It's basically a podcast where, kind of similar to this, I interview performers of almost any kind, filmmakers, and kind of just they give their secrets out on, what it is to go behind the scenes and how to put on a good experience for people.
That's very cool. All right, so thank you guys for watching. Tomorrow I'm going to do a 7-hour podcast where we're going to... No, I'm kidding. I have nothing but time. It's hard to like...
I was like, wait, is that what?
You and I are going to talk for 9 hours. It's hard to say, like, all right, let's do a tight 90 minutes because I ain't got shit else to do. So I'm like, nah, I could do 6 hours of rapping about how we get photography. But let's put a pin in it for now. And then, thank you guys for watching. And look, it's really tough right now. It sucks. We're not performing. Get your stuff ready. So the minute the government says, hey, we have a cure, a vaccine or whatever, you're allowed to do 50 people. You're allowed to do 100 people. That's probably how the world will open back up, it looks like. Groups of 35, or you can go to the grocery store first of all, then groups of 35, then groups of 50, then groups of 100. Then, hey, the NFL's back. Make sure you're ready. Get your photography. Even if you don't have money, start. Do you have a thumb drive? Is it in a drawer somewhere? Wipe it out. Make sure it's the right format. Start thinking. A piece of paper and a pencil. Sketching and having ideas costs you nothing. You got nothing but time. My poster should look like this. Tom talked about a Fiverr thing. Go through, listen to those old podcasts. Get your crap together. So when the government finally says, and when the health organizations, doctors say, hey, you're allowed to do a show again, you come out of the gate and your friends go, wow, what the hell happened to you, dude? You got super professional in 2 months, 3 months, however long this takes. Use this time wisely. It'll help with depression. It'll help you from being sad. And you can say, people are, what are you doing in quarantine? Go, well, honestly, like everyone else, I'm struggling to deal with it, but I'm also working on my show. Well, what are you working on? Well, some new card routines. I want a new Dove thing, but also watch these two guys babble for an hour and a half about photography. And I got some good ideas about photographs for when I finally get out in the world again.
Yeah, and plan your stuff.
Yeah.
don't, I mean, you can go willy-nilly, but in those cases, just have fun. But if you really want to take advantage of your time right now, plan exactly what you want, how you want it to look, and have a website. Like, there's a magician I know who does not have a website till this day, and I refer him a lot of gigs that I don't do because I don't do many kid shows nowadays. But when I give it to him, the clients always be like, "Oh, do you have any photos of him? Do you have any? He has any website?" Like, he has nothing, and it's hard to book anything. So take advantage now since there's nothing else to do, Right. So even if you have a white wall like this,
yeah, right, something, a business card. All right, guys, go work on your show. We'll talk to you later. Bye.